Your job stands a little bit in a way of you preparing for SBR effectively and efficiently. That's because most likely you are going to pay attention to numbers. So when looking at IFRS 8 operating segment standards, you are going to try to memorize the criteria for reporting a segment separately. Like, let's say, the revenue test, the net profit or loss test, assets test, and so on. And that would be a great approach if it would be just the financial reporting exam. But we are at SBR stage. So let's talk about how IFRS 8 will actually be tested. My name is Lilia Kirilenko. I have a fantastic SBR course. I've had groups with 100% pass rates. So I know how to make people focus on what is important. Now, first of all, with this very standard, we need to acknowledge that there are two steps. First, we need to decide whether this segment is operating, and then we need to apply aggregation criteria. In this very video, we are going to talk about operating segments only. So, operating segment has a definition which has three elements. Engage in business activities from which it may earn revenue and incur expenses. This means that you will need to copy-paste apart from the scenario, and you would need to explain that this qualifies or does not qualify for operating segment because of this revenue and expenses, well, revenue most likely, issue. So, for example, when we're talking about head office, it doesn't have any revenue, right? The problem is, though, that IFRS 8 is based on management accounting, which has nothing to do with IFRS. And if you have already taken advanced performance management exam, you know how different management accounting is. And what can happen is that some companies would charge internal revenues, and that's why we talk about intersegmental revenue, and some companies won't. So imagine that we have a manufacturing facility and we have several centers that sell whatever the manufacturing facility produces. In some companies, it's going to be just a cost center, so there will be no revenue. And as such, there will be no revenue test for the decision whether to report it separately, for example. And in some companies, there will be a transfer price and there will be revenue charged when the items, when the product is going to be transferred to those divisions that sell. And there will be costs, internal cost, for those divisions that sell. So this would make actually the same business be organized as operating segments differently depending on the management accounting, which is the drawback and the benefit of this standard, frankly. So, once again, the first criteria is revenue and expenses, and you will need to copy-paste part of the scenario and comment using these words. The next one is that the results need to be reviewed regularly by chief operating decision maker. So this means that you would need to look at the scenario, you would need to look at the timing, like how regularly they review, and say that, oh, they do that on quarterly basis. This is quite regularly. Oh, it is done by, let's say, the CFO, and they are probably responsible for the decision about resources allocation. Or, for example, by just management accountant who has no impact on the resources allocation. So this criteria is not met. And the third criteria is for which discrete financial information is available. I haven't seen this tested, frankly, so we most likely expect that there is some data. Now, some of you will tell me, look, I work for a company, and yes, we kind of like have divisions, but nobody analyzes them individually. Yes, but you know what? IFRS 8 is applied for companies with publicly traded debt and equity. And this means that those companies have gone through all those criteria, through all this madness of becoming listed, And this means that the corporate governance is better, and this means that they actually are analyzing whatever they are doing. So don't worry about that. There is no contradiction to whatever happens in real life. So this is how we are going to be tested on this first step operating segment. And I'm going to see you for the upcoming episodes of SBR Made Easy with Lilia Kirilenko to talk more. And make sure that you subscribe to my LinkedIn profile as well to participate in weekly tests to microlearn SBR and IFRS. Thank you. Thank you for watching, for listening, and I will see you next. Bye.